What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Alright, so today we're getting into a topic that genuinely affects millions of people, and I'm talking about folks who are pulling in a social security payment each and every month. Here's the wild part though. The majority of people just sit back and trust that their payment amount is perfectly accurate. They figure the system did its job. The numbers are right. End of story. And honestly, that kind of blind trust is costing people a serious chunk of change, month in, month out, without them ever realizing it. Now, what most people have absolutely zero clue about is this. There are particular circumstances and particular documents that have the power to actually fatten up your Social Security payment. Not a little rounding error we're talking about here. We're talking potentially life-changing amounts of money. Some of this stuff is relevant to people who are already getting their payments deposited right now. Some of it matters more for people who haven't pulled the trigger on claiming yet. But in just about every single scenario, the SSA, that's the Social Security Administration, is not about to pick up the phone and go, "Psst, hey, you're not getting everything you're entitled to." That call is never coming. No letter, no email, no friendly nudge. The responsibility of finding that missing money falls entirely on your shoulders. Which brings us to exactly why I made this video. Today, I'm breaking down 5 real specific situations where everyday people are being shortchanged on their Social Security payments. And I'm not just going to tell you the problem. I'm going to walk you through precisely what to look for and lay out the exact moves you need to make to get it sorted. And if you stay with me all the way to the finish line, I'm handing you a complete action checklist you can put to work today, not tomorrow, today. Before anything else though, go ahead and smash that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. And I'm not just saying that as a throwaway line. Social Security regulations get tweaked and reshuffled every single year. And when that happens, the SSA is not holding a press conference to make sure you personally are caught up. The folks following this channel are always the first ones to know when the rules shift, before the changes start eating into their money. So get subscribed, get notified, and stay ahead of the game. Oh, and toss a comment down below and tell me, have you ever actually looked at your Social Security earnings statement? What did you find? I genuinely want to know, and I read everything you all write. Let me lay the groundwork real quick. How does SSA actually figure out your payment? Because once you wrap your head around this part, the rest of today's conversation is going to land a whole lot harder. Your Social Security retirement payment is built on your top 35 earning years across your whole career, with everything adjusted for inflation along the way. The SSA lines up those 35 years, figures out a monthly average, and that average becomes the foundation of your check. Here's where things get ugly. Worked less than 35 years? The empty slots get padded with zeros. And those zeros are not gentle. They hammer that monthly average right into the ground. The SSA's own numbers tell us that a single absent year, one year that should be on your record but isn't, shaves roughly $100 off your monthly payment. That translates to $1,200 gone every year. String 20 years of retirement together, and that one phantom year just cost you $24,000. Now imagine 2 or 3 of those gaps sitting in your record. The numbers get frightening really fast. Okay, so with that in mind, let's dig into the 5 situations where this tends to go wrong. Situation 1, the paper trail nightmare of the 80s and 90s. Of all 5 situations we're covering today, this one casts the widest net. It touches more people who are already collecting Social Security than anything else on this list, and most of them have no idea they've been affected. Cast your mind back to those decades. There was no digital payroll system, no automated data transfers, no cloud storage. Everything was handled on paper. Your employer filled out physical forms, mailed them to the IRS, and then the IRS shuffled that information over to the SSA. Every single handoff in that chain, was an opportunity for something to go sideways. A digit transposed here, a name spelled wrong there. A whole year of wages swallowed up because some form ended up in the wrong pile and was never seen again. And the further back in time those records go, the slimmer the chances that anyone ever caught the mistake. So, if you were punching a clock during the 1980s or 1990s, here's your homework. Pull up SSA.gov, sign into your account, open your earnings statement, and comb through it 1 year at a time. Don't just scroll through it. Actually look at it. Then grab whatever old financial paperwork you can dig up. W-2s stuffed in a shoebox, old tax returns, pay stubs, literally anything, and hold them up against what the SSA has on file. You're hunting for two things: years where the dollar amount seems suspiciously low compared to what you remember taking home, and years where the statement shows a big fat zero, despite the fact that you were absolutely working that year. Either one of those is a genuine problem that could be quietly costing you money right now. Getting it fixed means filling out Form SSA 708, the official earnings correction request, which is available for free at ssa.gov. Of every group affected by the 0-year gap, this one tends to carry the heaviest toll, and it's made even worse by the fact that the vast majority of women in this boat have never been told it's happening. The moment a woman steps away from paid work to take care of her children, whether that's a 2-year pause or a decade-long commitment, those years register as zero income in her Social Security file. And if she hadn't yet banked 35 working years before she claimed her benefit, each of those years at home becomes a zero, dragging her average down. Picture a woman who spent 25 years building a solid work history, then dedicated 10 years to raising her family. She's got 10 zeros anchored to her monthly benefit calculation, pulling it down compared to someone who worked continuously for all 35 years. That difference in monthly income doesn't vanish at some point. It follows her through every single year of retirement. Two things you absolutely need to know about this situation. Number one, if you re-entered the workforce after your kids were older, and you were earning more in those later years than you did early in your career, those stronger years should be bumping out the weaker ones in SSA's top 35 lineup. Your benefit ought to reflect that improvement, but you should verify it, because should and does aren't always the same thing with the SSA. Number two, and this is the one that slips past almost everyone. If you're already drawing Social Security and you're still picking up part-time work on the side, the SSA is legally required to look over your record annually and bump your payment up if your new earnings push your average higher, and they're supposed to pay you that increase going all the way back to January of that year. If you've been logging those part-time hours and your check has stayed completely flat, get on the phone with SSA at 1-800-772-1213 and flat out ask them whether your recent wages have been looked at and whether a recalculation is sitting somewhere in the queue. Seriously, don't brush this one aside. Leave a comment and tell me if this hits home for you or for a woman in your life. You might be genuinely shocked by how many people are dealing with this exact same thing in silence. Situation 3. The self-employed, the freelancers, the gig workers, the one-person operations. Built your own hustle, drove for a rideshare platform, took on contract jobs, ran your own shop. Then pay close attention, because this situation was practically written for you. Here's the fundamental difference. When you're on someone else's payroll, your employer automatically handles all the reporting to both the IRS and SSA. Your income gets documented, your credits get recorded, and you don't have to think about it. But the second you're working for yourself, all of that falls on you. You're the one responsible for paying self-employment tax and making sure your income is reported accurately. Situation 5. Veterans who wore the uniform between 1957 and 2001. Smaller audience for this one. But if it applies to you, we're potentially talking about real, meaningful money that you've never collected, and almost nobody in this group even knows this benefit exists. If you were on active duty at any point during this particular stretch of time, federal law says you're entitled to what SSA calls military service wage credits, basically bonus amounts tacked onto your earnings record to account for your time in uniform. How the credits are calculated depends on your specific service window. Veterans who served between 1978 and 2001 get an extra $100 of credited earnings added for every $300 they earned in active duty pay, maxing out at $1,200 of extra credit per year. For those who served between 1957 and 1977, it's a flat $300 per quarter of active duty. The genuinely maddening part? The overwhelming majority of veterans from this era have never once verified whether these credits are actually sitting in their record. If you served during any part of this window, go to SSA.gov right now, open your earnings history, and take a hard look at the years you were on active duty. If those numbers look thin relative to your actual pay during that time, reach out to SSA and specifically bring up military service wage credits for your years of service. Don't assume the system took care of it. Go find out for yourself. Your action checklist. Screenshot this right now. Log into your account at SSA.gov and pull up your full earnings statement. Work through it year by year. No skimming allowed. Flag every year showing zero income when you were actually working, and every year that looks abnormally low. Cross-reference those years with whatever paper records you can find, W-2s, tax returns, old pay stubs. Found a mismatch? Grab Form SSA 708 from SSA.gov, attach your proof, and get it submitted to your local SSA office. Working since you claimed, but your payment hasn't budged? Call 1-800-772-1213 and ask SSA whether your recent wages triggered a recalculation. Veteran who served between 1957 and 2001? Call SSA and specifically bring up military service wage credits. Here's the bottom line. Your Social Security payment is the product of a record that got stitched together across multiple decades, fed by data from dozens of employers, shuffled through multiple agencies, and in many instances, typed in by hand by actual people sitting at actual desks. Of course, errors happened. Of course, years got swallowed up. And every single one of those mistakes is absolutely worth digging up and getting corrected. Because the fix doesn't just give you a one-time bump. It permanently raises your monthly payment for the rest of your life. Every dollar in that check is something you earned. You put in the years, you paid into the system, and you deserve to collect every cent that's rightfully yours. Don't let paperwork errors from 30 years ago quietly rob you of money you worked your whole life for. If this video just flipped a switch for you, hit that like button right now. It's free, it takes half a second, and it tells the algorithm to push this information out to more people who genuinely need it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit subscribe and turn on the bell so you're always first in line when new information comes out. Social Security rules keep changing, and the last thing you want is to find out about an important update after it's already cost you money. And please, drop a comment. Which of these 5 situations caught you off guard the most? Have you ever found an error in your own earnings record? Did you get it fixed? Your experience could be the nudge someone else needs to finally go check their own statement. Your words matter more than you know. Pass this video along to someone in your life, a parent, a sibling, an old coworker, a neighbor, anyone who's getting Social Security or starting to think about it. This is one of those videos that's genuinely worth sharing. Catch you in the next one.